You'll see these pods that now this one's already been turned. You'll see them green and they have these big spikes that stick out of them. It's not a cucumber, but they call it a wild cucumber. Other people call it manroot. It has these beautiful seeds inside because if you look closely, there's some cylinders in there. They open up. That's where the seeds are, and they pop out, and they can be different colors that you can string and make some beautiful necklace out of. They come in a real dark brown. They come in a light. I have some wild cherry pits in there too, and some acorns. You can string them up into a beautiful necklace here. And there's a story that talks about the Rainbow Bridge story in which Hutash she she created man, woman out on Limu, the island. Today we call it Santa Cruz. And she made it so that our skin matched the color of those little seeds. Those are the seeds that she threw out onto the ground. And we grew up from the earth and populated the island so much that we got crowded out there. And she goes, "Oh, I got to get you guys somewhere else." So she created the Rainbow Bridge. And that's that story, our Rainbow Bridge story, in which she has us cross over onto the bridge into this new land over here where we can spread out and have our babies over here and make villages here and all the different foods that are here as compared to the islands. We had so much more food here. So these seeds were very important in our creation story. But we're standing here right now in front of two very beautiful plants. This one right here, Artemisia wiwe, and the sage, white sage. We have different types of sages. We have the white sage, black sage, purple sage, chia sage. And the chia sage is the one that has the little tiny seeds in the little flower pods. And all these are pretty much edible, but the chia is the one that has the highest nutritional value in it. And they grow low to the ground. They don't look anything like this. So where Chumash people and many people use plants to burn, there's always a certain recipe in doing religious rituals and ceremonies in every culture. You sing a song, you say a prayer, and you use either water or you burn something, incense or things like that. So ours is very much the same. Our wiwe has a very minty smell to it, part of the sunflower family, and we would take off just what we needed. That was one of the lessons that we learned, that you only pick what you need and you don't waste anything that you've picked. Use it all up. You don't pick the first and you don't pick the last. So you want to make sure that there's some left over for next time. So we would take that with an abalone shell that has the holes plugged up so it can hold water. You would place the fresh wiwe in the water and let all those oils get into the water, and it smelled really beautiful. And then you take the sprigs and you would sprinkle people with it, or into our directions, our cardinal directions: to the east, Ulok; to the south, Minawan; to the west, Watoko; and to the north, Minwalash. Sometimes people will do Father Sky and Mother Earth. Some people have a seventh direction, their heart. So we do that. Sometimes people, there'd be big bowls, wooden bowls in ceremonial circles, where that water would be sitting there and you just wash your skin with it, your face, and cleanse yourself. What happened a little bit later on in the 70s is that we used it bundled up. Some people are familiar with bundling and burning white sage in an abalone shell. Well, we didn't do it with this plant. We actually dried the wiwe and did it with that, and only used it in certain particular ceremonies, such as funerals and clearing of the house where somebody had passed on, and to help relieve sorrow from the widow or widower. Well, this one became popular around the 70s, where people started burning that, bundling it up and letting it dry, and then you light it on fire and blow it out, and then the smoke, it takes the prayers up into all those directions I mentioned, usually with the use of a fan of some kind: eagle, hawk, condor, any of those big birds that you might have an eagle feather fan. They say the eagle flies the highest, so that's why we use the feathers of the eagle. So this was an astringent. It helped as a tea, that if you had I don't know, you ate some fish that had some worms, you drink a light tea of the sage and it dried up the worms. when we gathered our acorns and we made these big granary baskets using the willow. We have our storage of acorns. The bugs like them too. Never pick acorns with holes in them because you know they're going to have little bugs in there. So as we gathered the acorns, crack them open, and just lay the meat inside the granaries, we would line the granary baskets with the sage because it was an insecticide and the bugs didn't like it. So they stayed out of our acorns. So it had other purposes too. And in the winter solstice, we made these big rows of white sage, about this big around, about 3 feet long. And then on the other side of the ceremonial pole, we would bundle the wee and have a big bundle there. So it was used in ceremony. The wee was used during modern times. Used to call it cowboy cologne, as the men rustling up the cows and doing all that stuff had to go into town. They didn't have time for a bath or a shower, so they would put that on their body because it smells so lovely. So that's why they called it cowboy cologne. They would also, Fernando, our elder, said if you wrap it around your head and put your hat on, it kept your head nice and cool. I guess maybe because of the aromatics in it that made just you had that sense of coolness because it smelled like that mint flavor or smell anyway. But we again many uses for these plants. They're lovely in your yards. They attract a lot of birds and butterflies and hummingbirds, things like that. So they're very important to use. I wanted to share with you a couple things. Remember the cherries I was telling you about? These have really big pits in them, but that necklace I showed you, we use them as necklaces. The meat is very sweet on the outside. It has a red skin, so it does look like a cherry that you get from the store, but not so meaty. And then we have manzanita berries. And manzanita means little apple. We drill these and turn them into ornamentation and necklaces. But when crunched up in our big mortar and pestles, those pounding rocks with the hand tool, we put them in a basket that's waterproof and fill it with water, and you get this wonderful apple flavored drink. It's really refreshing and good. And then we have the little rose hips that come off from after the petals fall off the roses. And these were very high in vitamin C. We could eat the meat. We didn't eat the seeds. We kept the seeds and sowed them on the ground. They're a beautiful little pink, wishtakoloko, or washtakoloko. And those petals, when placed in water, the oil seeped into the water. If your eyes were tired and red, you used it as an eye wash. If you had colic or the babies had colic or some kind of trouble, it'd be drunk as a tea. Um, Again, we didn't know about vitamin C, but these were all, you would use that part for the vitamin C. When you take the petals and dry them, you crush them up and you use them as baby powder. So thank you. Thank you so much for wanting to invest and learn about our native world. So what I've been teaching you is the ethnobotany, and that's our relationship with humans and plants. So woyo, which means thank you, kiwanan, which means goodbye for now. Thank you.